Welcome to the Edge of Innovation with InSource, the podcast that takes you on a thrilling ride through the world of digital transformation. Join us as we dive into the latest trends, cutting-edge technologies, and game-changing strategies that are revolutionizing manufacturing and industrial settings. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just curious about the future of industrial innovation, we've got something for everyone. In this episode, Jason Jacobs and Kevin Maudlin discuss lifecycle management and InSource InCommand. This suite of services is designed to liberate your resources for high-value activities. Jason, over to you.
Good afternoon out there. Welcome to the InCommand session. We're going to be talking a little bit about our new program that we've launched recently. First of all, I just want to do an introduction. My name is Jason Jacobs. I work for Simsoft, which is a brand or a division out of the Canadian market for InSource Solution Group. And my position is an offering manager for monitor control. I worked in the industry for about 28 years, so I have a pretty good background in this. And what we wanted to do here is just kind of give you a brief introduction of a couple things. So we wanted to talk about what's going on in the market, first of all. And then we wanted to introduce our product, which we'll get Kevin, my counterpart down in the US, to introduce. And we're going to talk about some of the details that are inside of there, as well as some customer examples that really kind of fit what those trends are and how we propose to solve those for you guys out there in the field. And just go from there, and then we'll sum it up, and then hopefully you guys get a good smattering of what's inside this. So what I wanted to start with is the industry trends out there. Let's face it. Probably the first and foremost, plainly stipulated, is the workforce. The workforce is really just getting up there, and a lot of people are retiring. And let's face it, just in the industry, a lot of people are moving positions very quickly. Now, this is a really good challenge for the industry because, of course, you need to be able to address that gap. And one of the first things I want to say is InCommand fills that gap for you. So that's kind of first trend number one. One of the other ones we see very commonly is cyber. And cyber is a challenging thing for everyone in the industry. Several of my customers that I've talked to have had been caught off guard with ransomwares and things like that. And sometimes it's just following best practices in a monitor control application, or maybe it's just understanding how other people have had this situation and how to avoid it. So these are common things people need. And I would say the last one out of the top three is just the systems are just getting more complex, right? We've got systems talking to other systems. We have monitor control talking to, SAP systems, CMMS systems, and the integration level that's required to be an expert at all these things is really, quite substantial. So these are the things we're going to kind of introduce. And I wanted to introduce my good friend Kevin, who works down for ISG. He's going to launch what InCommand is and where we kind of came up with this idea and how we rebranded it in the market. Kevin?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Again, my name is Kevin Maudlin. I have the title of Vice President of Client Success with InSource. I've been with this company for 26 years, and I was in direct manufacturing for nearly a decade before that. So that's where all the gray hairs come from. As Jason mentioned the name InCommand a few times, and really InCommand is the brand name that we put on a suite of managed service offerings that we provide to the market. And we'll drill into those individually just so you can get a sense for what they are and what the benefits of those things are. But suffice to say, they represent a continuum of offers that run from additional enablement for your automation team all the way up to we take a significant amount of that responsibility on your behalf and some scalable options that are in between those two things. So really wherever you are on your journey between I want to do it all myself, but I'd like additional enablement and somebody else to lean on, to I'd like for somebody else to take over this whole thing and own it. Those are sort of the end cases that our InCommand offers address, and we can meet you anywhere in the middle that you happen to be right now.
Right. And what you'll find probably, what do you think about this, Kevin? Do you find that InCommand has like it kind of builds on itself? It has kind of like a base package for the
Yeah.
starter guy, and then it kind of builds up to, like you said, like an operation type functionality where we're really watching what the customer's doing. We're proactively looking at things before things happen. And it kind of fits that model of where are you on that journey and how strong is your engineering department, I think is really key to that, right? So
Yep.
I think it's great that we offer, different levels and even inside the levels that can be customized to some degree, how many hours that are required to do things, or maybe you have a set project or a laundry list of things to do. I think it's a great program to have that ability to go back and forth, right? So,
Yeah. And as you mentioned in the intro, well, people's the level of in-house skill they have varies, and that changes over time as well. So it's not like, any particular customer has a static engineering force that never changes. They're changing all the time. There are people coming and going, and people being promoted, and so we have an offering that provides subject matter expertise, particularly in a Viva system. So it's probably important to call that out. We're experts in Aviva, in the Aviva platform and in the Aviva tools, and we have a strong bench of capability in that area, and can bring that to bear for customers who depend on Aviva tools for their industrial infrastructure.
yeah, I think it's interesting to note too is also that we have 40 strong people inside that department. And like you said, they're all Aviva focused. They're not trying to be, multi-vendor, trying to do PLC programming at the same time. We only focus on the Aviva stack and the subsequent technologies kind of revolve around that, how it integrates to other systems, of course. But we really don't do, competitive situations like a traditional SI might, right? So we're
Correct.
really focused in on that. And I think that's important because we're also in front of a lot of issues, in front of, we see it on my side, at least from a sales perspective. We see, what's going on in the market. We also see how the product is evolving to that, and then we can share that with our kind of our you want to say our in-command team to obviously, use that to their advantage. And SIs wouldn't necessarily have that kind of, background inside of there. So I think that's an important thing to kind of note.
Agree. And as I was describing before, the program starts, the entry level to this is really an enablement offering that we call Insider. And we
Okay.
picked that name on purpose because you sort of become, you have access to in-source resources just like our employees do. So you have access to all of the training that we offer. So you can send your employees to any of the training events that we put on our calendar. All that's included in the subscription. You have access to what we call schedule and expert hours. So if you are working on a project, doing some scripting you haven't done before, doing some other kind of development you haven't done before, or you just need a hand with, what's the best way to do this? What's the best architecture for this problem I'm trying to solve? We have those experts on staff. You have what we call schedule and expert time. Let us know what kind of help you need. We'll find one of our people to help you get that done. And another major benefit of the Insider program is a private user forum. So, maybe you don't need the over-the-shoulder development assistance. Maybe you just like to pose a question to our experts and have our experts respond. That the private forum allows us to do that. So really, unlimited training plus the schedule and expert time plus the forum. Those are the key value drivers for Insider. And last thing is something we call Ingenious, which is an AI-powered, purpose-built, Aviva-focused tool. Ask it natural language questions and get back answers that come from official Aviva sources and from our history of closed support cases. So that's the first offering in our suite of offerings that we label as InCommand.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because a lot of customers, even that I've talked to, they want to know like all the past tech support cases, like what was the best tech note that solved that,
Yeah.
and that Ingenious and Inform basically probes all that information and really just serves it up to you really fast, right?
Yeah.
So I love that, and I've had multiple of my customers, see that, and then they kind of say, "Hey, that's exactly what I was looking for." So, it's one of those things where it's just having the proper information and lack of a better word, just trying to get the old stuff and just understand it, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And one more thing to say about, I mean, you can of course go to ChatGPT today and ask your question, how do I change the, storage location for history blocks with my historian? But I'd say what's different about Ingenious is all the answers from that tool come from a curated data set. So we have control of all the data that it answers from. So it uses tools like ChatGPT to understand English language, but it only provides responses from this curated data set, which I think makes it unique from
Yeah,
other
kind of like
general
yeah,
purpose tools you might be using.
kind of a capped large language model, if you want to call it that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it is important to have that so you don't get any of those kind of stray versions of there that might be somewhere out there on the internet. But yeah, very, very, very cool stuff. So that covers the first level. So I understand you get a subject matter expert. You get some training, which is a general training, and general training would be things like system platform, historian, those type of training courses, correct?
Yep. Product.
Reporting, that product, and those are typically 4 days that we serve up virtually from pretty much anywhere, and are great courses. They're certified courses that of course are verified and basically give you the tool set so you can generate your projects properly. That's a key thing to me. Obviously, training gets forgotten a lot of times when you get in all these projects, but it is a key part to making a successful project that the end user or even the SI knows how to use the product and doesn't just proclaim they can do it and just kind of experiment as they go along. I find that happens a lot too in industry, right? That, oh, I can do that, and well, no, I didn't really realize I could do that. So
Yeah. Well, one thing to add on the training, Jason, is as InSource Solutions Group has grown, our training offers have grown, and so now, for instance, we offer MES training, which historically we had not offered. And we started this year with 76 training classes on our training schedule. So we're midway through the year, not midway. We're part of the way through the year now, so we don't have all those on the schedule now. But more than one class a week throughout the year. So if you need InTouch, you're going to have several opportunities, more than one a month. If you need App Server, you're going to have several opportunities to jump in one of those, including in French language, if that was important to you.
yes, thank you for shout out to the Canadians, right?
Yeah.
But one of the important things emerging from SimSoft to InSource, having being one of the largest distributors in the world for Viva, we have this ability to do. We used to have maybe one or two courses in a year or to speak, so they had a long wait time. So having this collective training group is really important, so they can have a big smorgasbord of training if they can pick what they want, right? So. Okay, so maybe we've identified, kind of the beginning of that program. So the insider. What about the InCommand? Where are we looking there for what do we add on to that, or
Yeah.
what do we additionally get there?
Yeah, the next level up is what we call InCommand Assist. And so the primary thing that brings along with it is a proprietary monitoring tool that we have that is purpose-built to monitor Aviva infrastructure. Of course, we're also monitoring the core Windows and network things, but what we add on top of that is a proprietary monitoring tool that understands what services should be running for various kinds of infrastructure, is able to mine the logger. So if you've ever spent any time looking in the system management console logger, that thing can get really full of informational and warning and error kinds of things, and it can be hard to comb through that. So we've got a purpose-built tool that does that. It has some smarts built in to help us identify trends that we can see in the logger and in other places. And so that tool is a critical part of InCommand Assist. And InCommand Assist is designed to empower your organization with more information about what's happening in the infrastructure and some early warning tools. We don't take as much responsibility. We provide a bucket of hours to help you when you need help, but we don't provide as much of the direct response to what might be happening. With InCommand Assist, we provide our tools, and your team responds to what's going on or taps one of our experts on the shoulder and says, hey, I need a little help with this.
Yeah, I love that because I've had so many customers come to me and they say, hey, I have to prove all this stuff before I get to actual tech support issue, right? So, they have to identify their network, they have to identify their CPU usage, they have to identify whatever might be going on in their system. And I've seen that tool in action, and it's a great tool to kind of give you some information even before you start that, and you can hand that over to even on a tech support case. It's fantastic to have that because hey, that's the first thing they're going to ask you. What's the version? What's this? And what's this? And what's this? And if you can eliminate all that time and get to the root problem a little faster, I think that's kind of neat. And now with the additions of the hours, it even makes it a stronger solution, and it kind of combines it all to it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's important to say that our monitoring tool, we have the opportunity to tune that for every customer, and then we can provide push notifications out of that. We have a few different channels for pushing those notifications depending on how your team works best. But anyway, our tool is monitoring what's going on, and when it recognizes something that could be important, it sends a push notification to your team and to us that something's going on that might need
Nice.
somebody to pay attention.
Okay. So what about the next level up? So that covers the assist program. What about this select program?
Yeah. Yep. So the next level up is what we call InCommand Select, and really this is a totally tailorable. Think of it as a staff augmentation thing almost. So there are some core things we want to provide, and we do provide our monitoring tool in this InCommand Select offer. But really, we scale this based on what you anticipate your needs will be, and how much help you need. So think of this as buying X number of hours a quarter or a year and tailoring that to what you need. So specifically for what you expect to need, and that's why we call that InCommand Select. You get to select how you use the hours, what you use them on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I look at this as like a program that, you have a laundry list of things you need to do, and every engineering department has things they want to do and never get to, right? So this is going to kind of address those things, and as like those drivers that I was talking about at the beginning, there's complexity, the cyber, these often fall off that list, or the customers never get to them. So, this is one way to kind of identify that list and hand that off to a different set of people, and hopefully that being us, and we're addressing those issues as we go through. I think any customer that has that list, and then most customers are thinking even bigger stuff, right? They're thinking, putting their time against things like AI and big data and digital transformation type projects, and really optimization things. So, if they're focused on all that kind of stuff, all this other stuff like, addressing the networks and the patching and all that kind of stuff gets bundled into these different areas, and it's something that people have to really kind of make sure they address, and if they don't, it catches up to them at some point, right? So something to think about in there, right?
Yeah, and so Jason, it dawns on me also that we should be very clear that our in-command offers are not designed to be replacements. They're not designed to replace your automation staff. They're designed to augment your staff,
Absolutely.
and really we want to take what sometimes we call the status quo activities, the things that just burn a bunch of your people's time, that we frankly can use economies of scale to do more quickly and simpler. Take those things off the plate of your automation team, and as you were describing, use those people to do higher value activities. Use those people to stretch the boundaries of what you're doing with the data you have, to begin dabbling in, if you're not already, machine learning kinds of tools, to make improvements to existing user interfaces. So, we think that very few industrial and manufacturing customers have gotten everything they can get out of their automation infrastructure. And so what we want to do is take on the mundane tasks that are time sinks for your organization, refocus that freed up time to go do something that's much more valuable.
Yeah. And like you said, there's always something that's on that list to do that they never get to.
Yep.
Okay, so what about this? Let's go to the top tier, which would be operate. What do you think about that, Kevin?
Yeah. So in-command operate is designed to be is designed for in-source to take more responsibility for the customer's infrastructure. Now that sounds scary, or could sound scary to some people. We, as I mentioned earlier, we're subject matter experts in the Aviva stack, and we think we have the horsepower to do a really good job of helping you maintain those systems. So again, we use our proprietary monitoring tool, but unlike in command assist, when we step up to in-command operate, the alerts that come out of that tool are things that we're going to deal with on behalf of the customer. Our staff is going to take care of those things, and hopefully we resolve problems before they become an issue for your operation, and before you even know there might be an impending problem. So we take responsibility for day-to-day operation of those tools. We take responsibility for backing up the applications. So from a disaster recovery perspective, you have current versions of your configuration and data. We take responsibility for helping you if for some reason you needed to pull the rope on a disaster recovery scenario. The way we tee this up is, as soon as you've got an operating system, we don't manage the operating system itself, but as soon as you have an operating system for us to install our software and your configuration on, we're going to begin to help you with that disaster recovery with no limits. So we've got SLAs around these things, and we're not saying we'll help you up to 2 hours or 4 hours or 8 hours. We're going to help you till you get that system restored. And then one more critical part of Operate is we take responsibility for Windows patching. So as you mentioned in the early preamble, cyber is becoming a bigger deal for manufacturers, and so staying up to date with Windows patches, while it might be painful, it's also an increasingly important part of maintaining an automation system. It used to be that there were pretty serious gaps between our OT network and our IT network, and as we get as companies get more interested in pulling data off the shop floor, those networks tend to be merging together more. And that makes it vitally important to stay up to date with Windows patches. So we recognize that there isn't a one-size-fits-all strategy to this Windows patching thing, but we're going to work with the customer, figure out what timing looks like. Probably not on the Wednesday after the first Tuesday patches are made available, but we're going to take responsibility for validating that Aviva has approved them and deploy them on behalf of the customer. And I see you trying to jump in here, but I keep talking so you can.
I'm ready, Kevin. I had a customer that actually if you look at typical cyber issues are the wrong window patches out in the factory floor, and for that matter, they're running Windows XP, right?
Yeah.
So you get a lot of those kind of customers. But in addition to that, you have situations where they are having clients that are hitting OT IT networks, right? And they're backdooring things into their plant network. So the InCommand system is actually designed to help both of these situations, both the patching side and then the assistance hours that are built into the program can help you design the system a little better. Maybe that's, do you have the right security around your objects in your system platform layout? Maybe do you have the right, network? Are you bridging networks across DMZ systems? And people are going to evaluate that and use that as valuable information to harden their system a little bit better to address that problem at the very beginning, right? And you see that a lot. I see those are the most common things. And most of the time, they only act when it happens to them. So I got hit. So now I'm going to react to it. But I want to say the forward-thinking customers, they're always in front of it. They're always trying to do activities like this to kind of solve that issue in the long term, right? And I think that's important to kind of note. The other thing I think in these type of situations is that those hours that kind of increase as you go up this ladder of InCommand, they can be used for just stubborn projects that you guys have had. Like, this is over the shoulder training, over the shoulder help, and what it does is it just makes those projects and gives you best practices so you don't go offline, right? A lot of customers they go offline, and they're offline for weeks or months, and they go down a path that just is hard to re-engineer back out, when if they had that expert to kind of guide them a little bit better, it would have been a little better of a situation, and you don't have all that pain to redo it all, right? So I think there's a lot of value there between those customer examples and relaying them back to the services that we kind of offer, right? So yeah, that's kind of neat.
Good point. So another way to say what you just said, I think, is, as tools get more capable and flexible, they sometimes allow you 10 ways to accomplish the same thing. Well, it turns out there's only one best way to accomplish that. And if this is the first time you've ever done it, if there are 10 ways to do it, your chances might be nine
I'm
out
with
of ten
that.
that you do it 9 out of 10 that you do it the not perfect way.
Yeah.
And our subject matter experts have probably been there, done that, seen that, and can give you a little push towards one or two or three of the best ways to do this, rather than the 10 ways you could do it if left to your own devices.
Yeah. Okay. So those are lots of good customer fits that, live examples of things that kind of fit this in-command solution. And I don't know if you want to say anything more about that, Kevin, but I can
Yeah.
kind of summarize a couple things if you want afterwards. But
Well, one
go
more
ahead.
thing I wanted to circle back to. It dawned on me. I should have done the research and had this number off the top of my head, but maybe Katie can drop it in post. I was reading a study recently about the number of cyber incidents that impacted manufacturing customers, and some very large number of those could have been prevented with timely patching. And so, 10 years ago or 15 years ago in a manufacturing environment, you didn't have to worry too much about the Windows, uh, you know, infrastructure that you were running on. But today, that's not the case. And I say simple, the keeping up to date with Windows patches is one of the cyber defenses that people have available to them. And maybe customer A is doing a great job at that, but our experience has been that lots of our customers aren't doing a great job at that. And that's one of the reasons we have that built into the InCommand Operate offers, because we want to take that burden off your plate, but also provide you some risk mitigation that this is going to be done, and it's going to be done right, and it's going to be done only when those
Yeah.
patches have been approved by Aviva.
I agree. Like, if you look at all the customers out there, like 10 years ago, people weren't even going to the cloud, right? No one was
Oh
applying
yeah.
AI realistically. And today, as soon as you say, hey, I'm going to post that information to the cloud, then cyber kind of creeps in, and then you have some different bandwidth. So, the patching that was done 10 years ago, it's not you have to change your methods today to kind of adapt to a mobile strategy, which is now all HTML5 browsers floating out there in the industry, and definitely serving up information to metadatas, to cloud offerings, to AI engines, all kinds of things, which are doing really good things up there. But in order for your company to kind of exceed and grow in that market, you really have to be adopting those new technologies. And you can't just say, "Hey, I'm gonna air gap it." No one does
Mhm.
that anymore, right? Even the most stringent nuclear facilities I deal with, they're still they're still leading towards the cloud, which is shocking, but they have no choice. I think the industry just is forcing them to do it. So you got to keep up the back end, and I think InCommand does a good job of that. Okay. Any other comments, Kevin? I just want to. I'll wrap up a couple things that I
Yeah.
think what this program really is about, and we've kind of clarified a couple things here, and I'll just kind of review them, right? So I think this program has a build. We custom fit it to what the customer's needs are, and this is really important. And then we have access to information that's through this forum, through the Ingenious is fantastic to get that information. And what you get out of that is the value of what other people have done before you, right? So you get those tech support things. So that covers that. You have this unlimited training. This unlimited training is fantastic, right? You can get all your people trained the way you need so you can service this long term. And you can have a little bit of, if you think about it, it's important to the operator too, or the guy working on the field. He's got to know how to use that system, and it'll help with retention of that person. It'll help with, solving issues, troubleshooting, and downtime even to some degree. Access to these SMEs, right? Smart people that know what they're doing in the space that you're trying to deal with, right? This is really important. There's always the OT/IT network that's been going on for many years, and I think this helps to address some of those things. Disaster recovery, patching, we've all covered, and then all these other things like application support on certain projects or this laundry list that we kind of talked about. So
Yep.
all these things really kind of creep into solving many customers' concerns. And I don't know, Kevin, do you have any comments about what I just kind of recapped the session?
Well, so good summary. I think something that I believe we're going to see is a wave of OT outsourcing the way we saw a wave of IT outsourcing over the last decade or so. And so that can be a little bit scary. And we're not going to see it to the same degree for sure, but I think industrial operators are going to get more comfortable with having others help with the management and maintenance of these kinds of systems, and that's really what InCommand is. It's us trying to be an extra set of resources, really an expert level set of resources to help you with those kinds of things. So I think of that as an analogy, but your summary was spot on.
Yeah. Well, you can look at even your own company, right? Like look at things like HR, our company. HR has been, that traditionally was inside our four walls. Now we have HR websites and things managing our benefits and things managing our passwords even.
Yep.
So IT is slowly becoming, more, subbed out if you want to call it. So I agree with you 100%, Kevin. That's a great comment. And we do see this changing. And we see these triggers in the industry really kind of pushing this agenda. So hopefully you kind of see the value of what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to offer here, and give you that information so you can solve it and move on to all the cool fun stuff we talked about before. So
Yeah. Well, I think that covers what we had planned to talk about. Any last notes from you, Jason?
no, I'm all good. I appreciate the time, Kevin. Thanks for letting me join in and kind of giving my industry experience. I love talking about this kind of stuff. It just reiterates, how I support my business within our company, and it supports our customers to make sure they have the support to do this stuff. And it doesn't. It's just not a technology sell. It's a technology and service sell brought together. And this really identifies a lot of the. We show all the things at the top, but there's all that stuff underneath the iceberg that kind of gets you. And this is sort of addressing that kind of concern, right? So
Yeah.
I love it, and thanks for having me on.
And to the audience who's out there watching these things, thanks for hanging in with us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us at the Edge of Innovation. We're here to help you. You can reach out to us on our websites, insource.solutions in the US and synsoft.com in Canada. We hope you'll join us next time for another stone in the path of the digital transformation journey.